All right, what's happening BE3 today? We've got I think a really fun topic to talk about. The title is, If You Had To, You Would. If you had to, you would. And we were just chatting a little bit, and one of the biggest, I think, frustrations is trying to get people to actually understand with consistency, with actions, with consistent action to kind of keep the flame fanned, right? Because we all know how to start a flame. You know how to get people excited. You know what to get them to think about their goal and their dream and their why and their vision. But what happens, do you think, that causes it to fizzle a little bit?
It's something that baffles me but I think ultimately it comes down to you got to dig deep and truly figure out what is going to motivate you to continue to create that drive to do what you're doing, right? Like for me, okay, I look at it as, take sports, for example, look at Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. I like to argue that I still think Peyton Manning was better, but
never beat the Gators.
But and never had the championships, right? The Super Bowls that Brady has had. So what Brady has accomplished is amazing, right? But you take someone like Brady, he's made more than enough money. He's played 20 plus years now in the league, right?
Yep.
He's probably going to play at least one more, maybe more. Why? Right? What motivates Tom Brady to get up every single day, put in all the work, watch film, attend all the meetings, go through the rigorous, take the hits, get up, do it all again, right? What? Why? What? So that's my thing, is at that level, you don't need money.
Yep.
You've already proven you're the greatest. You're a Hall of Famer, no question.
Right. You broke the records.
You broke all the records.
Right.
You have more Super Bowls than probably anyone will ever make a run on, because how do you compete with that dynasty that's been there, right?
Yeah.
So what is it? And I think for him, what he's realized is he loves football so much, and the process of playing a game and dissecting the other team, that's what drives him, right?
Yep.
And so it's not money, it's not the championships, it's not the ring. Yes, he's a competitor, he wants to win, but that's become his driving force. And for me, that's where everyone needs to get to. What deep down, if you, I call it the toddler syndrome. If you ask yourself why after everything, every reason that you come up with, if you ask yourself why, you start to dive deeper and deeper, right? I like cars. Why? Well, they go fast. Why? Right? If you just if you keep going another layer, it gets real interesting, and you start to get closer to, I think, what's really going to motivate you.
Well, let's dig deeper into that one, because I think that is one of the actual true secrets, right, to this whole thing, is it's never a thing, right? It's never a trophy. It's never a dollar figure in your bank. It's never a house. It's never a car, right? Those might be byproducts of the work that you do. But if you rip it through and you start to peel back those layers, ultimately it's a feeling that you're after.
Yeah.
If you go deep enough, right? And so the feeling for Tom Brady might be just excitement or fulfillment or I don't know what it is, right?
It could be the excitement. It could be the pace. It could be anything.
It could be just knowing that he's going to go down as the best of all times and just widening the gap so it's harder for anybody to break it. You never know.
And on the flip side, it could be comfort. It's all he's known for a very long time, is getting up and going through that process and playing football
of not having that.
And yeah, exactly. And when it stops, it stops. I mean, you hear that from a lot of people. It's not an easy transition, because your identity becomes wrapped up in what you do, right?
Well, all right. So yesterday I had a great interview with a very solid, great agent, right? That's going to come join our beach offices. And she works for another brand right now. And she came over and solid $7-8 million a year, right? Nice production. And we started getting into the why, because, you guys watched us long enough to know, it doesn't matter to me. We work in 90-day functions. So I'm like, how much money do you need to feel good? Ultimately, what makes you feel good? Where's that comfort? Where are we trying to get to? In this particular case, she wanted to make sure $15,000 came in every month, because she needs to spend that. And that's what her lifestyle requires for her to live, right, comfortably. And then that's not enough, though. So I could sense that in her face. That's a pretty good income, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not enough. So ultimately, it was the feeling. I'm just making a long interview short. It was the comfort and the flexibility and the freedom in the future to be able to have that income and then some come, not trading your time for money, right?
Right.
Because right now, a lot of people are trading their time for money. So I'll put this money in to sell a house because I will get paid $5,000 at the end of that transaction,
Yep.
or $8,000 or $10,000. So you're constantly bartering, right? I'll give you my 28 hours and you give me $6,000.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're doing that forever. And I think the ultimate goal is having some flexibility and freedom to say, I want to have income flow that I don't have to trade my time for.
Yeah.
Right. And so for her at her stage of life, wanted to spend time with the grandkids and her daughter and things that she wants to actually do, flexibility and freedom and timing is a big thing. So our goal is to make sure that she has enough covered to take care of the creature comforts of life so she can relax and still do the things she enjoys, but really be cognizant about what's going to take that next level. And her next level is we need to buy some investment properties, right? And of course, I don't want to buy investment properties. Where's the market? Is it high, is it low? It doesn't matter. You're buying cash flows, right? You're buying something that brings in income in excess of what it cost you, right? That you feel pretty safe the incomes will stay the same. So it could be a duplex, a triplex. In this case, it was vacation rental properties along the beaches is what we're focusing in on. So when she gets up to having $15,000 or $20,000 a month coming in, free cash flow after expenses, she's going to have a feeling, right?
Yep.
And the feeling is relief, right? And comfort and elimination of fear is ultimately what it's all about, right? So now so many people are trading time for dollars. And the ultimate goal in freedom is being able to have that income flow that doesn't require you to do it. Now, when you're a Brady or you have the love and the passion for the game, it's not about the money, but you always have that flexibility and freedom that know if something didn't work, you still have that income, which creates a little softening in your mind that you're okay no matter what, which allows your passion to really unleash because you're not afraid of making a mistake because you know that other income flow is coming in from that aspect.
But I think that is the key because playing devil's advocate, I would argue that does she really, the vacation rental income is a great idea, right? And it will certainly hit that goal if she truly wants to hit that goal.
Yep.
And if she truly wants to do that through vacation rentals. There's a lot of good ideas. There's a lot of things that will work, right? We go through this in the business. We know that knocking on the doors of for sale by owners or reaching out using our methods to expireds will work. It will drive income.
Yep.
But if you don't want to do those things, ultimately you're going to find a reason to not do them. And it's much easier to find a reason to not do them than do them. So my point being, and this is the hardest thing, it's the reason I think most people don't get there, is the things that we come up with that that's going to drive me. If you don't really, truly, really want it, you're not going to do it, right? You may want it, but you may not want it bad enough.
You could.
You know you could.
And you know you should.
Right.
But you don't know if you're going to.
That's 90% of the issue with why people don't go to the gym. That's 90% of the issue. Like anything in life, right? You can truly tell your personal priorities. You may not like them, but you can tell them by your actions that you're taking, right?
Yep.
And that's a hard conversation to have with yourself. But the reality is that's what's needed. There was an interesting interview I saw there's a new clothing brand that's kind of taken off. And I was watching the story of it yesterday, and it was actually started by a former wide receiver, right, in the NFL. And he'd only played for a couple seasons. And when they asked him about it, they said, what led you to this? Like, why aren't you still playing football? And he said, listen, when I came out of college, I was drafted pretty late. It was very apparent to me when I got into training camp that I did not have the skill set and love of the game that I was going to put in enough work to get to where everyone else was, which instantly told me you've got a very short run here in the NFL, right? But I knew that the NFL had the position to give me a platform that I could leverage while I was here for whatever time that was to help me go to the next level, because why I was an NFL player, there were people that would talk to me. There were people that would partner with me. There were people that would do things that they wouldn't do in a year,
That's
2
right.
years, 3 years from now when I wasn't playing anymore.
Didn't have the name recognition.
So you had
the
that
position.
self-awareness to know, hey, I don't really love football anymore, but if I do this, my real thing over here is going to actually happen, and I'm really passionate about building something after football,
Right.
so I'm going to leverage this to get to where I want, right? And that's exactly what he did. 3 years later, he was out of football,
Yep.
but now he's got a clothing brand that's really taking off. That mind, like when I heard that, I'm like, okay, but that's self-awareness, right? That's not him saying, I'm going to be the next Jerry Rice, because he
Right.
knew he wasn't
No,
going
you-
to be.
you can't.
Right?
That's a machine.
And that's the problem is I see a lot of agents come in and say, hey, I'm going to be the top agent in the world. No, you're not, right? Like, let's be real. You're not.
Right.
You don't want to make that sacrifice. You're not going to make the sacrifices needed to do
Yep.
500 transactions in a year. It's not going to happen.
And you don't need it.
And you don't need it, right? So let's be real. But do you want to go on that extra vacation? Do you want to do, like, what do you really want? What do
That's
you
the
want to
passion.
have happen? And that's the thing. When you figure out what you actually want, then you can create the framework. Like, I honestly don't care, because I don't believe it to be true, if real estate, like when you talk to a lot of agents, why'd you get in real estate? Oh, I love selling people homes. Do you really? Like, really, 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 really? Like, is that like why you got into? If this was free, would you do it? A lot of people would. They wouldn't, right?
Some truly would.
Some truly would.
And those are the ones that
I
are
would
winning.
argue that a lot wouldn't do it if it was free,
Yep.
right? Now, that's okay, but own that and know that, hey, I do like it, but I like what it gives me more, and maybe that's time, maybe that's vacation, maybe that's something physical,
Maybe it's seed capital
maybe
to
it
do
could be
something
anything,
else,
right?
right.
But it's creating that framework, and once you have that framework of you know what you're actually building, and this provides you a step in the right direction to get there,
Yep.
cool. But now again, now we have something. Now we have a reason to wake up and go do it every day, because it's going to feed this over here.
Right.
And that's the thing that I think is missing for a lot of people.
And I think it's easy to get that spark of an idea, but the big fallback is, what are we going to do? What fans that flame? Right. So one of the biggest issues that I see is people come in, they get their goal, they get fired up, they get to work, they get started in the direction. But if you don't have somebody coaching you, caddying you behind your back and saying, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? You
Right.
don't need to do 8 deals. You need to do 2. And you've got 1,000 people in your sphere and you're not reaching out to them. Why are you doing an open house to strangers and knocking on a cold door when you've got the ability to go do this? So that's where we come in and say, there's your path, stick to it, and let's go. And then
Right.
let's keep going and going and going and going
Well,
and going.
and-
But fan that flame or else it's going to go out.
And to coach you through all the evolutions, right? Because using a football example again, I think Peyton Manning was a really interesting one, right? You had Peyton Manning, who had all this talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl winning quarterback, best quarterback arguably, at that time. Then he gets hurt, comes back, and Peyton Manning couldn't throw the ball over 30 yards, right? So all of the things that his coaches, his personal strength and conditioning coach, his quarterback coach, which is important to note, these guys all have all of these coaches behind them. Best athletes in the world still have coaches, right? So they're having coaching. But the methods, the things that they're teaching him, the game plan changed. When he won that last Super Bowl, right, he couldn't throw the ball 30 yards.
Yep.
But so the game plan had to change. They had to say, hey, Peyton, you're still dangerous with your mind, right? So just by you calling different audibles, being able to read a play, and us executing on more run plays than throws and short throws and getting those opportunities open, that's where the coaching comes in, though. Right? And the same thing happens in this business, because your needs, your skills, your abilities, they change, they evolve, they go in different directions, right? So what you need now may change a year from now, may change 2 years from now in either direction, and you need a coach who's going to be able to help game plan with you and execute at different points. So it's not just what you need right now, it's also who's going to have your back and be able to coach you through tough situations
Yep.
and as your business plan changes and needs to change over time.
Well, we were talking this morning at the sales meeting here at this office and saying, all right, the difference between coaches and caddies, right? And in this business, the caddy idea is just great because it's the way we run our business for sure is we're truly business partners with our agents, right? So saying, all right, hey, Bob, come here. What are you working on? All right, that's what you're going after. This is the club you need to use, right? And be careful because if you hit it over there, you can't see it, but that hill rolls very steeply down and there's a water hazard and your ball's gone, right? And right around that corner is a tree. I know you don't know it's there. We've done 60,000 times on this same hole, and I know it's there. So listen and so do not grab that. That's the wrong club. Don't do it. Try this one. Let's do that one. And then they say, okay, thanks, right? And then you have somebody with that experience that's got the ability to go walk down this path hand in hand and say, here and here's why. And that's the difference between coaches, right? There's so many coaches who just say, swing the ball.
Yep.
You can do it. And it's a difference saying, whatever. Grab that club, hit it there. I know it doesn't look like it, but go about 20 yards to the right of that tree. That tree. Got it? And then that's going to set you up for the next shot.
That is 100% accurate. The biggest variable there is trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only way that doesn't work is if you as the player don't trust your caddy and say, you know what, I know you say to hit the 9-iron here. Nah, I'm going the pitching wedge, right?
Yep.
Or I'm going with my 8-iron.
Yep.
And you change clubs and you don't hit on the back left because he says it's going to draw back, and you go to the right and you get yourself into trouble.
Yep.
I see that in this business a lot.
I do too.
They come in, they get strategic advice. They literally, we give them everything and say, go do this. We tell you, do these things. This will be the result. Yet you hear it and then you don't do it. And so that's either happening because own fear, doubt, anxiety that's happening in within your head, right? And the drunk monkey starts going and or it's trust. And so if you're not with someone that you don't trust and you can't take their advice and actually run with and know that it's the right thing, and you just have to have some faith and they have my interest, in heart. And that's important. Your interests have to be aligned, because if your broker's positioned where, for example, there's a lot out there that charge a fee for you monthly, they're just not as motivated. If they're giving you 100% of the deal, they're not motivated to get you that deal, right? They don't really care.
And there's an interesting movement inside the industry, which I think is pretty interesting, with these quote unquote coaches, right?
Yep.
Come, right? Let me show you how this is done, right? From a 30,000 foot level coach level.
Yeah.
And then the interest is totally self-serving from a multi-level marketing perspective, that all I really want is come over here so I can rip a little piece off of your deals.
Yeah, put you in my downline.
And let me tell you to go get some other people to try to turn you into becoming a recruiter rather than becoming a real estate person.
And to save you all some time, in case you've thought about it or are hearing that, the second that you stop producing revenue in that downline for that individual, they stop caring. Like, you are non-existent, right? It just...
So that's the difference between a coach and,
so there's
a true partner caddy type deal.
But that's why you're interviewing, right? And then once you interview, that's why you'll see these caddies are with these guys for a long time.
Yep.
Most of these caddies at the PGA level, they're under contracts. And they get paid very, very well, but they are getting paid very well in long-term increments.
Yep.
Like, Tiger had his caddy for a very, very long time. It's not like they're switching every week.
No.
They're not switching every year.
No.
They are staying put because they create a trust together and a game plan that works as long as both parties are executing.
I was talking yesterday with his agent and saying, look, and this, I don't want this to sound bad, but saying, look, ultimately, I don't care if you come to work here, right? I think that there's a mutual benefit for us working together as a partnership here, but I'm not going to try to sell you on coming here, because if it's not good for you, it's not good for me. I don't care about a number on a roster.
Right.
I need somebody who's going to take the advice to go to a next level.
Yeah.
And if it's not you, still love you, right? Go sell our shit. But I'm not going to waste my time and energy, because I don't want to waste your time and energy. Because if you're not going to do what we know is going to help you to the next level, please don't waste our air conditioning and my breath, right?
Right.
Let's get something real. So if you're going to commit to doing this over the next 90 days to get good at this skill, to take yourself to the next level, I will give that back to you. You'll give it back to you. Otis will give it. Craig will give it.
100%.
Julie will give it. Kathy will give it. The support team's so deep, right? But why have a support team if you're not going to take the advice, right?
Well, and
so
I think
quality, truly quality versus quantity goes both ways. From you to your broker and from your broker back to your agent, and it's got to be aligned, guys, or figure it out. Or do
well, and I
something
think
else.
for us, we build our business and try and teach our agents that this is a long-term business, right? You're not.
Yep.
Yeah, yes, you need transactions so you can eat tomorrow, but we're building a business, and building a business takes a long time. So if you're not coming to us prepared to go on this ride with us,
Right.
and you think this is a 1 or 2 year short term to make a bunch of cash and go retire,
Right.
that can be okay, but we need to have that conversation up front, because otherwise we're sitting here giving you strategies to build a business long term, and if that's not your plan, then it's never going to work. And quite frankly, we typically won't hire those individuals because that's not the way we've structured our business. We've structured a business to help you grow a business over time and long term so that you can live and eat forever.
Now, with that point, though, said, we all go through phases, and we've got agents that go through phases that say, hey, I get the business plan, help me build my brand, but I've got 12 grand I got to pay in December, so let's throttle back on the brand for a minute, and I need to eat.
Yeah.
Right, so then we pivot completely, but if it's your trusted caddy, you can tell them this, and they got to say, look, I've got to get some deals.
Well,
right? So you say, go get a deal. Let's go do this. And then you ride their ass and make sure they get that so they have what you need. That's what a real partner does. But you got to communicate it back.
Your game plan on the course is very different when you've got 6 holes left and you're down 4 strokes, right, from the leaderboard.
Yep.
It's also very different when you're up by 4 strokes.
That's right.
Right, you're going to play it much differently.
That's right.
Than if you have no choice but to be aggressive here because you've got to make up strokes or you're losing anyways.
Give me that
right?
club. I got
Very
it.
different. So you're going to get far more aggressive here, far less aggressive here, and you're going to play that strategically very different.
Yep.
And that in the game of golf and in the game of real estate is different from tournament to tournament, from course to course. Right? Very different. Because this week you're up. You're on the leaderboard. Next week you're not, right?
Yep.
You adjust. And if you do not have a coach or a broker that can adjust with you and help you in any situation, you are on the wrong team.
That shares with you. And I think that's important too, because this agent was interesting because she has worked for 4 different brokerages over a 10-year career, right? And I said, it's really, really important to me that when you decide to come here, if you decide that this is going to work out for both of us, that this is the last place you go. So if you need to interview 8 other places, please do that. And here's why. Because when you're sitting in the living room of somebody, I'm not talking about your past clients. They love you, know you, they're going to work with you no matter what. But to get you to the next level, when you have 30 grand a month coming in instead of 15, you're going to have to talk to people you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're in that living room and they say, oh, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to interview so-and-so and so-and-so. And you have to be able with confidence to say, I already did. I did it for you. I don't care what market you're in. You need to know the biggest competitors and the other options the sellers have and be able to say, I, as an independent contractor, can work anywhere the hell I want to. And the reason I'm with my brokerage is because it is the absolute best brokerage in the entire planet. And you would be absolutely out of your mind to not choose this company. Whether it's me or not, work with the company. That's how passionate I am about this brand and about this company. And that's why I'm here. And the reason why it's better for you is because we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. And if you can't say that with confidence about wherever you are working right now, you need to go, right? That's absolute truth. Because if you don't have that passion, everything's energy, right? And they're going to sense your commitment, your passion, or your unpassion.
Yeah.
Right. If you're just in it with commission breath to try to do a deal and you just hang your license somewhere, it's going to come across.
Yep.
And then you're not going to get that full buy-in. So if you're going to be in this business to truly build a business, make sure you're with a partner that's going to have your back in business and that they will die for you and you will die for them, and you lock arms and you go. Right?
100%.
That's the whole point. So that was a really good takeaway from yesterday. And I wanted to make sure we touched on that for you today, because I want you to do a little self-assessment as we're rolling into the last part of Q4 and rolling into 2020. It's a good time for reflection.
And figure out what's your broker's plan, right? Who
Yep.
you're with matters, because you can have all the plans in the world, but if your broker's not on the same plan as you, right, and they're 92 and looking to retire and don't have it's important,
Right.
Like,
Or 52 and not trying new stuff.
yeah, like if you see that they're not, ask them why. Oh
my God.
You know, maybe they're selling, maybe they're over it, maybe
they're scared or don't know what to do.
Maybe they don't know what to, like, all of these things are important because who you're aligning yourself with matters, not only for when you're sitting in the living room, but it just matters for your business long term. Again, you're building a long term business, and if you're not building that with someone who's going to be around long term with you, you may want to think about not being there.
Here's a little secret. Nobody knows what the hell the real estate industry is going to look like in a few years. We just don't.
We don't know what it's going to look like 6 months from
Okay.
now.
So here's the reality of it. You should be a little bit confused and concerned and excited. And your broker should admit to being confused and concerned and excited. And I could tell you from our perspective, how many new things do we try and implement on a quarter by quarter basis?
Almost daily.
Nonstop. Why?
I think
Because
we came up with 4 new ideas today.
right. And why? Because what's going to create more opportunities for our partners to create the income to live the lifestyle that they want. I mean, good God, we do all kinds of stuff. But it also takes a while. And we've invested a lot of resources and energy and ideas and thoughts to see what's going to help grow us, because we're in here for a long haul.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever this bobs and weaves into as an industry, we're not going to wait and be reactive. We're actually going to force some of those changes. Right. But that's the kind of creativity and entrepreneurial mind that I think it's going to take. I know it's going to take to pivot wherever this thing's going. So make sure if you don't have that mindset, you should have that mindset. And if your leader, coach, caddy, broker doesn't have that, then peek around. And this is by no means designed to bash anybody. This is designed to call out the reality of what's going on in the world right now. So focus in on what's the fire, man. If you don't have a flame, if you don't have a passion, if you don't have a why, if you don't have a business partner that's going to help instill that and fan it continually, you got to go. Right?
Yep.
That's the reality of it. And we do that for each other nonstop.
Yep.
Right? If all the ideas Craig has, if Craig didn't have a sounding board, right, it would be tough. If I didn't have a sounding board, if you didn't have a sounding board, we couldn't all get together and come up with ideas. Some work, some don't, some whatever.
Yeah.
And we just keep rolling until we keep getting better and better and better and better and better.
Yep.
And that's our drive. So that's my mission and wishing for you guys while we're watching this one. So my parting words are, figure out the next level, guys, and let us know what we can do to help you get there. I don't care where you are in the world. We got people all over the place watching now. Let us help you in any way that we can. And I want to thank you for watching. And it is Florida Georgia week. So for those around here, go Gators.
It's actually Jeff's Halloween costume.
That's right.
You will be trick-or-treating in that.
That's right. Cool.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll
Thanks,
see you
guys.
next week.
Bye.
One shot.